Welcome back to another episode of Harvest to Harvest. My name is Lisa Merwin, and today's episode we're going to work on bulk items in long-term storage. In previous episodes, Pam had been talking about canning and dehydrating, which is a great way to do that if you're getting stuff from the garden. But sometimes those of us that don't have a green thumb and would like to have maybe a variety of foods or a deeper pantry, long-term storage or bulk food is a way to go in this area. So today we're going to focus on meals in a bucket. This is a great way to introduce somebody to how to do maybe long-term storage, or to just start on a small scale even in your own home. It's not too intimidating, very easy to do. One way you can do it is to get one of these type of buckets. You can probably find these at your pet store or anything, or you can even find some bigger ones at your membership clubs too. So what I like about this is they have the famous gamma lids. And if you don't know what a gamma lid is, it's more like a twisty-turny type of thing. And it has the plastic around it to give it a good seal. And it's to keep things fresh. If you're to do, if you want to put wheat in here, straight in here, that you're going to use on a regular basis, this is a great way to store that. And some other items we're going to talk about. Or if you want to go something maybe a little smaller, or you might not have the budget for this, this is a good budget-friendly option. This is a 2-gallon food-grade bucket. And of course the lid. And there are different types of lid. This particular lid, again, has the gasket on it. And you put it down and you have the tearaway strip, or you have ones that are just a regular plastic lid. These are a little bit better to stack with, and maybe so high. But like I said, this is another budget friendly. And like I said, both of these are food grade. To me, that's important. I know we're using Mylar bags, but in case you wanted to put food directly into your bucket, then you know you're good to go if you just wanted a small thing of brown sugar, or your wheat, or your rice, stuff like that. But for even longer term storage, and when I say long term, we're talking like maybe 2 to 5 years, or something to just like, you just want to give to somebody, just like I said, to introduce to them. And this great thing is the Mylar bags. They come in many different sizes. This particular one is a quart size bag. And it has a zip top, and you just open it up and you'd fill it up in here. And then you use the hot iron across. There's other ones, another company does what they call a half quart, which would be technically a pint. And it's about half the size. Same thing, zip top, just a smaller one. These are the gallons. This particular one won't fit in there. You would have to squish it. But I wanted to show this so you can see what you can do with your food storage. There's 2 different types that I've used personally. This particular one is open at the bottom, and it would be sealed at the top. You see the little notches there? That's where you would rip it apart when you're going to use it. But when you're filling it up, you would fill it up on the bottom, fill your product, put your oxygen absorber in, and put the hot iron on. And it would be good this way. This was my first experience. Then my friend Pam bought these from Azure. And these ones have the zipper top on it. So the bottom is closed, acts just like a Ziploc bag. You open it up, and it's going to cooperate. Open it up, put your food in, and then you can seal it here. Okay? But you still need to use your hot iron, because remember, this is for more long-term storage. This is your rainy day. I'm going to use this when you might be low on funds, or you've lost a job, or there's a natural disaster, or you might have supply chain issues, as we've all experienced the past 3 years. This is what this is great for. And like I said, and these are much easier to carry than a 5-gallon pail full of food, or even that this can be heavy for some people. This is doable, okay? And you can take it to your kitchen, pour it in your favorite canister, or like this if you want it to. However you want. You got multiple options. So we've got the Mylar bags. Next is the oxygen absorbers. Okay, you definitely need these. You just can't put your food in, close up the bag, hot iron it, and you're good to go. You need to take the oxygen out. And one company that does a really good job on educating is called Pack Fresh USA. They have Mylar bags, they have oxygen absorbers, they have starter kits too. They sell in big quantity, they sell in little quantity. And buy what you need from that place and then start your journey. So, and what else I like about them, now I did not get this, this is Wallaby, I got this off of Amazon. Okay, sometimes we have to go to different places, again, supply chain issues. So I kind of get wherever I can get. The one place I would not recommend getting your oxygen absorbers would be from Azure Standard. It's not that it's bad, it's at how they package them. I like the fact that this company, Wallaby, and also Pack Fresh USA, they usually package them either in 5s or packages of 10. So say you order 100. Well, you don't want 100 all in one big vacuum sealed bag, because then you'd have to do 100 things at once. Between 5 and 10 packaged like this is very manageable for a person to do, because these only have a lifespan of 15 minutes, which means that once I open this, I have 15 minutes to seal my stuff. And so doing in increments of 10, and you can do that by yourself, makes it very easy for you to do in that amount of time. You might think, oh, at 15 minutes, as long as you're getting them in there and you're going, and as you get more proficient in it, the easier it is for you to do, and you do it really, really quick. So I really like these. Now, for a quart, it is 300 cc. For a gallon, what I tend to use is I stick with 500, or you can do up to 600. It just depends. Again, sometimes you can only get if 500 cc, which is great. You put one of those in there, you're good to go. Sometimes you can only get 300 cc. So 2 of those puppies in the 1 gallon one, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about your food. That would also work for pasta. Pasta, if you want to do pasta, it does require a higher oxygen. So if you do 2 300s, you're pretty much good to go with this size and this size. In another episode, I will talk about the 5 gallon pail, because that's an even bigger quantity. And it's the same process, but we'll just talk about that one later. So there's that. The food we're going to do today is we're going to put in the Mylar bags, we're going to put a 13 bean soup. We're going to put a 5 grain cereal, and we're going to do rice. Okay? And that's what we put in bed. I have a cup, any old cup will do, to help pour from the bags to put it into the Mylar bags. Oh, also just to let you know, I know for the gallon, I do not know too much for the cup, but for the gallon size, you get to about 16 cups, whether it be rice, beans, pasta. I don't know, I haven't done pasta. And, but I do know for those type of things, whether it be garbanzo, oats, rolled oats, it's about 16 cups minimum. And sometimes if there's a little bit left in the bag, I'll just spread the love amongst the other ones. But I do know that each bag has about 16 cups. Let me talk about the thickness of the bags. If you have ever bought herbs, like in bulk, like say peppermint from like Amazon, or maybe Azure Standard, or your favorite herbal place, they come in, basically it is a Mylar bag. But that particular, if you notice, it's kind of thin. That's like a 3 mil bag. That works, but really the best weight is in the minimum of 5 mil. Okay, that works for your cereals, your grains. It's less likely to puncture. That 3 mil, it doesn't take much to puncture. And even some of the herbs, it's really meant because they want you to use the stuff up real quick with herbs and stuff like that. And it's also a little bit cheaper to give to a customer the 3 mil. But for like long-term storage, minimum 5. Sometimes you can go onto Amazon, you might get a 4.75. That's okay, that's about the lowest I will go. But most places will sell a 5. Now you can get also a 6 or a 7, but as you get to the larger millimeters, they tend to be, this is a pretty sharp edge right here. Well, as you get thicker, the edges really get sharper. So I recommend that you wear gloves. I have played with the 7 mil before, and yes, I have cut myself. So, and I've even cut myself with these. Just kind of be careful. They are sharp, but they are great though. And they do recommend like maybe a 6 or a 7 for your pasta, especially if it's going to, because you know they're sharp and it can puncture through. You're trying to prevent yourself from puncturing. Again, go to Pack Fresh USA, and they have a great education for what to do, how to start, what to do. What is a Mylar bag? Is it really this? Or you notice if you look inside your bag, and I think if I can open this, it's the plastic lining inside, and it explains all that to them. Of course, you can always look on YouTube for all this type of education, but I know Pack Fresh USA has been reliable. They've been doing this for 25 years, and they are out of California. And of course, you know, most people have been doing this and wanting to get into this. So sometimes getting their product can be a little bit longer. You can also find their product on Amazon. It's probably about $1 or $2 more. So it depends where you want to go. But if you're wanting a big quantity, that's the place to go, because that's the only place that's reasonable that I've found to get, like if you want 200 quart bags or 100 or 300 gallon bags, especially if you want to save money and split with your friends. So that's just the way to do it. Okay, let's talk about the hot iron. This is just a regular cheapest that you can get at your big box store. Everybody's favorite big box store. So it's real simple to use. You turn it on, the setting, and on this particular one, I use 410. The recommended is from 375 to about 425. So just look on the hot iron you get and go above, make sure it's above 375. I try to aim around 400, but this particular one is 410 and it does a great job. I wanted to show, I also, you're going to need a Sharpie, because what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to write your product and your name and the date that you packaged it. And of course you're going to need a pair of scissors. And I just have Ziploc bags. Before I had the zip top, if I had any large quantity of product left over, say it wasn't enough to fill a gallon, I would put it in here and I would save it for the next time I was going to do another round. I'm a mom. I have 5 kids at the house at the moment, and I'm busy. I'm homeschooling and stuff, so sometimes I can only do 10. This is meant not to overwhelm your life. This is meant to enhance your life, to make sure there's food in the pantry for your family, or to give away to other people in need. So sometimes life gets in the way. So if you just put it in a Ziploc bag, and this will last quite a month, 2-3 months, until the next time you need to do it. Or maybe, you know, the budget, you can only get so many pounds this month. And you got some left over, you can always put it in here. Always put the name on it. Like if I have garbanzo beans, I'll put garbanzo beans, and I'll put the date on it. But I know to go in my pantry, there's a spot for it. I can pull it out and continue the next round of food storage. We want to make this accessible to you. This should not be overwhelming at all. So another thing I want to talk real quick is the type of food. Like for long-term storage, they say between 15 to 10% moisture. So that means your beans are okay, your rolled oats are okay, your rice is okay. You can do granola. Granola is about 5 years. People ask me about nuts. Nuts, really, because of the oils in it, it's only good for like a year. So and really put into your freezer. That's more short term. But if you buy something in bulk and you're going to save money, that is a way to do that. Is to get the Mylar bags, do do the whole oxygen and put them in the freezer. That will make it last longer. Because I know people do have special diets. Some people can't do rice. Some people can't do wheat. Some people have problems with oatmeal. So you need to look at your diet and see what works for you and what you can get in bulk, what can help you out and save in the long run. I want to talk about the prep for a minute. If you do your research and you go out there and you look, there's really two different schools of thought on this. Some people will take their 50-pound bag of rice or beans or flour and will put it in their deep freeze for 3 days. It's to kill the bugs, and then take it out, and then wait another 3 days, and they'll put it on a towel and they'll turn it over and bring it to room temperature before packaging it into the Mylar bags. I prefer just going straight to, because the oxygen absorbers takes the oxygen out of the bag. It's going to kill anything that's in there. I also live in a high humidity area, and I'm kind of a little leery about that because we're never dry down here in the deep south. It's really never dry. It's wet. So to bring it out of the freezer and kind of do that, but if that's what you want to do, go ahead. But then again, some people don't have that freezer space or that time to do that because that's putting another layer on. But if that's what makes you feel comfortable, then do it. One way or another, I think doing this will take care of the issue all in and of itself. But if you want an extra layer of protection, you can go do that. If you have the space, go ahead and do that. But you will see there as you're scurrying the internet, different schools of thought on it. And some are adamant that you need to do that. I'm just more of do what's comfortable for you. And this is what this is all about. What's comfortable for you. We are just offering ideas, suggestions, again, to help enhance your life, to make sure your family is fed during a crisis, and to make sure that you can also give to others that might be in need. Because Yeshua said we're always going to have the poor among us, and we do have that within our own body of Messiah. And sometimes people, are unemployed for a few months. So we just experienced that in 2020, event 2020 there. And this is a great way to show the love of Yeshua to someone, maybe someone who doesn't know who Yeshua is and needs a help. This is just a great way to say, hey, I love you, but more importantly, Yeshua loves you. So keep that in mind, that it's not just for your family, but it's a way to give to others that are in need. So as we conclude that part, let's go ahead and get started and start this up. So now what we're going to do, we're going to get stuff ready. We're going to get it organized to get what we need done. So at this point is when I go ahead and plug in my flat iron so I can have it nice, hot, and ready. And I put it on the temperature, which in my case, it's 410. Another hint, if you can find one that's pretty reasonable, maybe a little bit bigger than this is about a 1 inch, that will probably work real good. But the 1 inch does a good job too. I am going to go ahead and get this is a quantity of 10, so I'm going to go ahead and get a couple of these out already so we can have that ready to go. And then, okay, I'm going to move this over here. Okay. So what I do at the house is I have laundry baskets. Actually, I have the taller, skinnier ones. And because you don't want to have to open up these up until you're ready. So what I do is I get my 10 things ready. So let me get me my quart-size bag here. Actually, this is a treat. This is like the first time I've done it with quart size. Like I said, I'm a large family, so I'm doing gallons is what I'm doing. Because if I have to give to somebody, I'm probably going to give them a gallon. Like I said, 16 cups of rice and beans can last the family for quite a while. We're going to go ahead and start doing this. So like I said, we're going to start with the beans. Get my beans. Just open it up. Start pouring in there. That looks like it's probably going to be about 3. Maybe not quite 3. Because you don't want to overfill it. You want to be able to put that oxygen absorber in there. You want to be able to close it. There you go. And then I plop it in here. Now we're going to do some rice. Simple. Again, it's about 3. It'd be a good idea in your bucket to, usually they have instructions on how to cook your food for like the beans and stuff. It'd be a great idea to cut that out and stuff it into your bucket you're going to do, especially if you're going to give it to someone, so at least they know how to cook it. Another thing about the buckets is I'm assuming the other person probably already has the spices. So we're not really going to do spices. Most people have Tony's or salt and pepper and all that stuff. Unless you really know they don't have that stuff, you can always add that to the bucket. More than likely, you're going to have that stuff in your pantry. And it's going to be in a separate area. And also one more caveat about the about long-term storage, you want to consider Pesach. So when I say Pesach, what do we all do? We get rid of our leaven. We get rid of our yeast. We get rid of the baking powder. So you really don't want to put those in your buckets. You want to put them in a place so you know where they're at. Whether your yeast, maybe some of you put them in your freezer. You want to kind of keep it separate because you want to be able to know, hey, that's where I put my yeast, or that's where I put my baking powder, so you can easily toss it. If you put it in long-term storage in a bucket like what we're doing, you might forget about it. And then you're going to feel real bad when, oh wait, I had baking powder in there. Or you had some cookies or something like that. You want to kind of keep that stuff separate. Most of this stuff is made from scratch type stuff. So we're assuming that they have a water source. They, or all they have to do, like basically, is add water and seasonings to their liking. So, so that's very, very important because when we get into that type of stuff, we're set apart people and we have to kind of think about those type of things. What I also really like about long-term storage is I don't have to rely on the government, because maybe some of the MREs might not be kosher for us to eat. So this way I know this is food that we can eat according to the Father's standards, to His laws, to His commandments, and I don't have to worry about that. Now I'm saying, so I say that to say that it's like an insurance policy. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to be also a burden to the system. And especially where we're at. Like I said, we're in the deep south, we're in Mississippi, we get hurricanes. So there is a chance that we might need an MRE out here. Okay, that's happened in the past with Katrina, that's happened in Louisiana at Lake Charles. They got hit twice a couple years ago. And they were out without, some areas, depending how rural you are, you can be without power for like 6 weeks. In Lake Charles, they were without power for 6 weeks. Can you imagine 6 weeks with no power? Where you have to go drive to go get fuel. Sometimes you can't get fuel because of the devastation. You have to drive even further. So for disasters and stuff like that, this is great. As long as you have a water source and everything and got your water taken care of, you're pretty much good to go. Let's talk a little bit about where we can buy this stuff. I've already talked about a few things, but hey, if you're up north in like Amish country, I would go to an Amish store and I would go over there and buy it. If I had access to one, that's what I would be doing. But since I don't, I usually get most of our stuff from like a Costco or Azure Standard, because Azure seems to have the bulk beans. Believe it or not, even though we have beans and cornbread out here, it's really hard to find them in bulk, above 10 pounds. Through Azure, I can usually get 25 pounds, whether it be pinto beans, black beans, whatever type of beans. And if you can only afford a little bit, Start there. If you can only afford one bag, a great value from Walmart, do that. And just put it aside. It will last for a little bit until you can catch up. It's just do something to help you out, to help stretch things out. Times are uncertain, and you just never know. And as a side note, usually we don't feel the effects of things till maybe, like, especially agriculturally, say like wheat or corn. It's about 18 months because we're usually going off the last harvest, and sometimes that's when we finally feel the effects of things. So you might think, well, things are good now, but we all know it's really not, and it's kind of gotten high. And so as you look at stuff, and maybe you are living paycheck to paycheck, it's okay to start small. We're not here to say you need to buy 50, 100, 300 pounds of rice when you can't afford it. Okay. So at this point, we're going to put the oxygen absorbers into the bags. So. Just cut it open or tear it. Oh, these are, like I said, these are 500 cc, so I just need one of these. Probably a little overdoing it, but that's okay. That's what you do. Zip it close. Now you can try to get all the air out if that's what you want. I really haven't noticed a difference too much. And then you take it. You see that top that's open right here? You just take it. I go like this, and I go on the other side, and I just make sure it's taken care of. And there you go, you got one sealed. You can do the same thing again. Close it up. And since there is a 5 cc in here, it would probably look pretty scrunched up most of the time. So what I would do in this case, like I said, I would put the date on it. And I don't put exact dates. I just put 5/23. I know it's May that. Or if you want to, you can write it up here where you're going to rip it off if that's what you want to do. But just put that up here. What you're supposed to do is something like this. The product name. Oat groats. I packaged this on 3/23. Okay, just in case my daughters, I have older daughters, open this and I'm not around. Well, what do I do with it, Mom? I write it on here. Flake with flaker on the hand mill. Because I have electric mill and I have a hand mill. So I put that instruction on that. I did the same thing with the durum wheat. I put durum wheat 3/23. And what is durum wheat? Most people don't know. It makes pasta. Once you grind it, you can make pasta out of it. So, and my girls might not know that. So, or at least, or the person you're giving to might not know. So that's a good thing. Now about the oxygen absorbers. Sometimes after about 12 hours, 24 hours, most of the time they're going to look like this. And this is what most people expect. They get a little bit more concerned when it looks like this. Okay? This is normal too. Usually though, it's going to look like this most of the time. This, like I said, we're taking the oxygen out, and sometimes it doesn't look like that, but we're still doing the same job. Just inspect and make sure, like I inspected, make sure it was sealed right. We don't hear any air coming out. We don't see any punctures. I did find one that I was going to bring as an example, and it had a puncture right up here, little puncture. It looked just like this. So that's why I say kind of inspect it and just kind of see what it's doing, but it's perfectly fine because you can still tell it's a little bit scrunched in. Okay, and they're both this, and this was the same, from the same package, the same cc's. which I think was 500 also in this. And it's just what it is. This happens to be the durum wheat, and I did oat groats in that one. Now we're at the point where we're going to start putting things in. Now I didn't, since we are doing a 13 bean, now that we're doing a 13 bean soup, I wanted to add a cornmeal. I couldn't find it at Walmart without self-rising. Again, we don't want to put anything with baking powder, especially if it's for longer term, because again, with Pesach, we'd have to go back in and throw it out. So I know Azure carries just straight cornmeal. Pam, actually this is Pam's, and she grinds up grits in her blender. Food in the grain mill. Okay, so Miss Pam, she grinds up her grits in the grain mill, and it comes out to a nice cornmeal. So this is what it looks like, ground up. Okay, and yes, you can put this in a Mylar bag. So that's what I would add to this, because you know, with a soup, you need a cornbread, especially down here in the South. That would be almost sinful if you didn't offer some sort of bread, especially cornbread. So, and in that case, remember I talked about the non-fat dry milk. Again, Azure Standard carries a bigger quantity. I just got this at my local Walmart. So I would put this in there. I would put this in there. I would put this in there. So we would put each one. See, that only fills up a little bit. And if I was giving this to somebody, I might put a little dessert in there. So we have a cereal for, I might put actually an extra one in here. I might put 2 of the dried milk pouches in here. And so they can have it for the cereal, for the cornbread, and they have the rice, they have the beans, and then they have a breakfast. And like I said, if you wanted to put maybe a little bit of snacks in here, of maybe fruit or something like that, to maybe dress up that 5-grain cereal, that would be a nice gift to give to someone to say, hey, this is what you can do, or, you know, a really quick meal. And you make it all pretty if you want to, put some writing. Now, if you wanted to do it like this for your own self, you can, like I said, you'd have everything for a breakfast, at least a breakfast and a dinner. And then you can put it here, and then you can get a label and just write on it. Again, 13 bean soup. And I would use a label, or if you really want to, you can write on it, but I like to multi-purpose my buckets. And so I just want to make sure I have the information that I need on here. Again, usually a bag of beans or whatever. And this particular one, this is, like I said, this is from Azure. This is a 13 bean soup. It's 25-pound bag. And look, it has this neat little thing here. How to cook rice, how to cook beans, how to cook barley, lentils, green split peas. This one, how to do popcorn. So you can cut this out and stick it in here. Or cut this out and stick it in here. After you're done filling it up, you can put it on the top. You have your cooking instructions. That person has their cooking instructions. Okay? Real simple, because it's really basic for any type. I thought this was great. And so, like I said, this is from Azure, but the actual company is Columbia Bean and Produce. Thank you, Columbia Bean and Produce, for doing that. That just makes life so much easier. So everything on this episode will have a link or a PDF to it. So you don't have to worry about writing things down. You can print it off for your computer and put it in a binder, or slap it on your refrigerator, any place you want to keep it. So you can have the information, so you know what CCs to use, which will be your oxygen absorbers in your Mylar bags, and what kind of foods that can be stored long term, and other neat ideas too. Please, I encourage you to look at those links to educate yourself more. This is just a general purpose type thing, but we always want to learn, and I want to provide you with that information. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and may you all have a very blessed day.